Okay, yes. Hayom Yom, 15th of Elul, birthday of one of our kids, Aaron Sholem Kamen. Happy birthday, Ari, from me and whoever else is listening. Uh, today's a remarkable day in Lubavitch because today is the anniversary of the founding of Yeshivas Tamchei Tamimim. The whole Lubavitch Yeshiva structure was founded by the Rebbe Rashav on this day, and that's what our Yom Yom opens up with. The founding of Yeshivas Tamchei Tamimim was on Sunday, 15th of Elul in 1897. And then the beginning of studies in Talmud and Hasidus was on Wednesday, Chai Elul, coming right up, a huge day, birthday of both the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe. On Simchas Torah Eve, in 1898, after Hakafis, my father proclaimed, the name of the yeshiva is Tamchei Tamimim, which literally means the supporters of the pure ones. And the students, so who are the pure ones? The students who study and conduct themselves in the spirit are called Tamimim, pure ones, earnest ones. That's today's Hayom Yom. And we have a whole letter to do today to encompass both today and Shabbos. Lessons in Tanya. We begin a new letter, letter 14, on page 236. And in Likutei Amorim, we begin the letter on letter 14, on Chof. So having told us that regardless of the predominance of one's presentation, whether it be on the side of the right, Chesed, or the side on the left, Gevurah, one has hidden within them, each and every one of us, an infinite light, an infinite force, which encompasses both of them. And therefore, and the thrust of it in terms of tzedakah was even the one who's naturally more limited, meaning Gevuradic, has within that person the ability to come into out of bounds, out of the boundaries, out of limitation in terms of tzedakah, and tzedakah meaning all the mitzvahs in terms of everything, because we have bli gvul within us. And this bli gvul faculty, this infinite faculty, this infinite source of energy, also applies to, and we're going to learn today, to the earth. We spoke about this when we spoke about planting tzedakah. Remember, Zoreya tzedakah? You plant a little seed, and there's a power of infinity in the earth. And the proof of that, if you need proof, is the fact that one little seed, first of all, dissolves into nothing, becomes zero, zippo, and the power in the earth springs forth from there, huge array of wheat kernels from one little kernel, huge array of apples on trees from one little seed. And here we're going to speak in this chapter about a specific land, which is the Holy Land. Now, as we do this, even though he's not going to say this, keep in mind that each and every one of us we are Bikurim, we are, number one, we are the chosen, the first fruits of Hashem, and we have an Eretz Chafetz. We have a land of desire. We have a holy land within us. But he's speaking, at least on the surface, of the Holy Land of Israel. But keep in mind the Holy Land which is invested in our godly souls. Okay, chapter 14. I'm going to go rather quickly. It's not esoteric. It's kept in a few places, so it should flow, hopefully. To arouse the ancient and dear love of the Holy Land. That it should flame like flaming fire within each person, and with a depth of heart, as if this very day, today, Hashem is giving our spirit, our life and our spirit within us. Ruach Nediva, a spirit of generosity, because the theme is always tzedakah, for a long time, tzedakah. That Hashem is renewing the Eretz Chofetz, the Holy Land within us. It's as if He's rebirthing it every day and rebirthing that spirit of generosity, behisnad of Om, so that the people will be generous. Limles Yodam, to fill up their hand leHashem, biad mole, with a fullness of hand, birachove, and a wideness of hand, b'ribay achariboy, in multiplicity after multiplicity, midashona b'shona, each and every year, hoylech v'oylech, lamayl reish, each and every year. Lamayl reish is an idiom. It means higher than the head. You need to each and every year to go beyond yourself. Kamidas kodesh elyon, because these you have within you, just like God has the midah to continually go beyond himself, to continually come out of himself, to continually invest himself totally in the creation. So that's called the midah of kodesh elyon. We have it within this, and this kodesh elyon that God exhibits with the creation invests itself and zeroes in particularly in Eretz HaKodesh, in the Holy Land. HaMeschadesh u'misrava tomid, which is renewed and broadens the Holy Land, and the infusion of this Midas Kodesh, this infinite light, is renewed and broadened tomid, all continually. Kadikasiv, as is written in the Pasuk says, Tomid ene Hashem Elokecha bo, continually, always, the eyes of Hashem are with her, are in her, meaning the Holy Land. At least that's the Pshat, the Holy Land. From the beginning of the year until the end of the year. So what's not understood, why does it say from the beginning of the year to the end of the year? If it's continual, it's not understood why it says beginning until end, because at first glance, the end of this year is the Metachila Shana Shneha, is the beginning of the second year. Should have said La'olam Ba'ed. Hashem invests himself in it continually. Why does it say from the beginning of the year until the end of the year? So this is actually a Rosh Hashanah Drush. This is what we're talking, the head of the year. So why does it end if it's continual, if it's tamid, continually? So Inyan is Yuvan. Inyan will be understood. Al Pima Shekasa, what's written, Hashem b'chachmi oretz. It says Hashem with his wisdom, and here understand this as the sphera of Chachma, the sphera of Chachma. I mean, the Pshat is there. He founds the earth and all of creation in a wise way. But the drush here is Hashem with his Chachma, the first sphera, Yesod Oretz. That is the foundation of the earth. Yesod ha'oretz el yoina, the foundation of the supernal earth, which is the midah of Malchus. Malchus is the earth. And so the foundation of the supernal earth, and that's the foundation of God's kingdom, from which he spreads himself out into creating the entirety of worlds. So the yesod, the foundation of that, hi bechinas mamala kol almin, is what we call filling all worlds. He comes out of himself, and through the interface between the ayin and the yesh, which is in Chachma, Chachma begins the process of differentiating and broadening and creating the creation, which is instantiated and actually implemented by the king and queen, which is Malchus. And that's that whole process from Chachma on down, and that an investment of Hashem's energy in that manner is called Mamalik Almin, how he fills all worlds. The upper worlds and the lower worlds, who Eretz Chafetz, and the lower world down here below, the Tachtoinim, the world down here below, the Eretz, the Holy Land above, which is reflected, the Holy Land above, meaning Malchus of Atzilus, or any other world, or even higher. That Holy Land above is reflected down here below in Eretz Chafetz, in the land, in the desirable land, which is the land of Israel. Hamikavena kenegdo mamish. You see, my hand is drawing like a straight line from Malchus of Ein Sof, Malchus of Atzilus, Malchus of Bria, throughout all the worlds. Malchus of Hashem devolves and comes down in Seder Stalshalis to Eretz Yisrael down here below. And from there it spreads out to the entire planet. V'nikra al Shema Eretz Achayim. And this land, this holy land, is called Eretz Achayim, a land of life or a living earth. It starts from the drawings down of Chokhmah Allah, the first sphere, which is Makor HaChayim Al Yonim, which is the source of the supernal, of the life force up above. Because you can see, if it's a pasuk, it says, Chokhmah Tichya Baila, that Chokhmah enlivens those who possess it. It's the first shot of enlivenment and drawing down of a Malik Olam, filling all worlds. In this ray, in this drawing down, is renewed each and every year. He who is Borach, because he, may he be blessed, he and his wisdom are one, in a complete unity, or Ein Sof. And that light, which is invested in the infinite one, is called the infinite light. She'ein soif, it has no end. The ein case has no boundaries. Lamaila v'gedula, in terms of its quality, its maila, its quality and its greatness of that ha'or v'ha'chayis, of light and chayis, hanimshich memenu yizborach u'mechak mosei, which is drawn from him himself, may he be blessed, and from his wisdom. Be'ili achar ila, there's elevation after elevation after elevation of the light back to its source. Ad ein kates, without any end, v'tachlis, and no limit. L'reim ha'mailis, to the high, there's no limit to the highness, the height of the levels. L'mayla, higher and higher, higher and higher, period. When we call Shana V'Shana, and each and every year, there descends from this supernal Chachma, or Chodesh, a new light. Umechudesh, and again, keep in mind ourselves, we're Eretz Chafetz is our definition of Lakis. So every year, in fact, every day, we're going to see there's a renewal of the infinite light, because, first of all, harking back to Shar Yichud Emunah briefly, Hashem invests himself and reinvests himself in the creation every day and every moment, with what's in the analogy of breathing. He exhales, that's infusion, and then he so-called takes a breath. I mean, that's, I'm being cute here with this metaphor. And then he blows another breath. But that's he blows the shomash and afachti b'tahara, you blow the soul into me. And that's, and each and every day is expression renewed each and every morning. So this is happening to us. Just keep that in mind. And this is a metaphor also for us, although, as I said earlier, he's talking about the Holy Land, particularly the external land, the land of Israel. So each and every year, there's a new infusion, or chodesh and mechudesh, a new renewal, which had never ever yet shone into the earth, the Oretz Elyoina, into the lower down here below, Malchus instantiated in Eretz HaKodesh, or into the higher source of that, which is Malchus, the supernal world, every year. Because Or called Shana V'Shana, the year of each and every year is mistalek l'shorshoy, departs, goes back up to its root. Mikol Erev Rosh Hashanah. That's what's happening on Erev Rosh Hashanah. On Erev Rosh Hashanah, like Erev Shabbos, like Friday night, when all of the life force that's in the worlds is elevated back to its source. And that's, when does that happen? Rosh Hashanah, unlike most other holidays, falls on the first of the month, the time when the moon is totally concealed. This concealed means it's withdrawn, the light is withdrawn to its source. That's the new moon. when the light is withdrawn to its source, and then a new light force is invested, and that's represented by the gradual newness and fullness of the moon over the month. But on Erev Rosh Hashanah, there's a histalic, the histalkus. The light goes back to its source. And afterwards, al yedei tekiyas shofar, through blowing the shofar on the day of Rosh Hashanah, the tefillas and the prayers, there's drawn down into all of creation. That's why we call it Rosh, the head of the year, instead of the beginning of the year. Just like the head is the source of all the energy that goes into the body. So that particular day is a renewed source, is that the source gets renewed. There's a total renewal in all of creation. From the Bechinas Elyono Yosef, from a much higher level, and where does it come from? It comes from that supernal Chochmah, that point of origin of the whole Mamala Kalam. And that light is Lahoyla Oretz Elyono, and that shines up, irradiates, illuminates the supernal earth, the supernal earth, which is Malchus, Ula Dorim, and then it comes down into all the worlds, and particularly into this world, and illuminates Lidorim Aleho, all those who live on this earth. Hem kol elamis, and he says very clearly, and all this earth is hem kol elamis. This is happening to all the worlds, and those indwellers in all those worlds, the angels and everything else, are renewed each and every year, the upper worlds and the lower worlds, who are all receiving life from the renewed infinite light that's injected into Chochmah, and then comes through Seder Stalshulas into all the other worlds. The Hainum and so Baruch, as you said, they get being re-infused with the light of the infinite one, blessed be he, the Chachmasai, and his wisdom, Hamalubish Ba, which is enclosed in her, meaning in the Eretz Elyon, in Malchus. Kedekasiv, as is written, Pasuk. The Pasuk says, Ki im chomakar chayim, with you is the source of life. You are not the source of life. With you is the source of life. It's a tool, Chachma. All the spheros are tools. One of the meanings of spheros is brought by the Alter Rebbe is sphere means to shine. Lashon saphir, like the jewel, the sapphire jewel. And Hashem is able to bring a shine forth. He is the one who brings a shine forth, because the source of all shining, the source of all life, is with him. And it says, in your light there is light. In the light that you beam out, this is the light and the life force of everything. And what is the source? The immediate instantiation of that source of light is in Chochmah Elah, it's in the higher level of Chochmah, which is the Makor HaChaim, the source of life. And is known to the Kabbalists, and the one who know the Chen is a acronym for Chochmas and Historis, those who know the hidden wisdoms. Shebechol Rosh Hashanah, that in each and every Rosh Hashanah, Iha Nesira, it's the cutting. The cutting here alludes to the cutting of the rib of Adam Harishon to create woman. So what's happening here? An opening is being created in which a energetic flows down to Chava. Chava meaning woman. So on all the woman faculty of Bini, Sarah, Nitna, Isha, and a more extra measure of understanding is given to a woman, or Eshes Chayla Teres Baila. The power of womanhood, which is Malchus, Malchus, the feminine, is being empowered on Rosh Hashanah, which is the power of creation, a power that's invested particularly in woman as opposed to man. And that's called the Nestira, the cutting of the rib, as alluded to in the Kabbalah. And the worlds receive a new brain, literally, new brains from a higher level. And in specific, meaning being very specific, this happens also each and every day. Are drawn down higher levels of brain, new infusions into Chachmah. each and every day more. And when is that? In each and every tefillah, in each and every davening, b'chol tefillah hashachar, each and every prayer that we do in the morning. And they're not like the same brains. Each and every day, the force of Chokhmah is not the same force. It's a renewed force, not the same brain that it was at the beginning. Because the beginning brain, Nistalko, went up in the evening, in Ma'ariv, and later, and comes down Acharat Tefillah after Shemoneh Esrei on Shachris. Rakavei and Yosef. It's just that the ones we're talking about here at the end of the year, are much, the brains each day, the brains each day are higher than the brains they were on the previous day. But they're a cloud, the cloudless, or oilam, and in general, this happens also in each and every day, each and every year, Rosh Hashanah, and also B'shit Al Peshonim, in the 6,000 years of creation, each of them is a higher an infusion of a deeper level of light. Ihu b'chol Rosh Hashanah b'shana, because it happens each and every Rosh Hashanah. And now we can understand why it says, when it says that the eyes of Hashem are on the land of Israel, Tamid, right? And it says from the beginning of the year until the end of the year. So it says Tamid enei Hashem elokecha ba, right? Always the eyes of Hashem are in her, in the Malchus, shining on the Eretz Malchus. Now, eyes is a metaphor, a nickname, literally, for the drawing down of the light of Chachma. That's why what people who are wise are called the eyes of the congregation. Chachma in Kabbalah and Chassidus is always connected with seeing, Bina with hearing, and Chachma with seeing. A flash, right? That's Chachma, the eyes of the congregation. And that's why Chazal have told us that the light of Eretz Yisrael makes a person wise. Because I didn't say the light, the air of Eretz Yisrael makes a person wise, because there is the first landing point, the essential, quintessential landing point of Chachma on planet Earth. And this light, which shines down there, and this drawing down, even though it's happening all the time, right? Because if Hashem were to withhold his light for a split second, everything would revert to nothing. So it's happening all the time. It's continuous, tamid, continually, the eyes of Hashem are on her. But it's not always the same level. In throughout all the days of the world. But each and every day, it's a new light, new supernal light. The light which had been renewed for this particular year that we're in, goes up back to its source on Erev Rosh Hashanah of the next year coming up, and it goes back to its root. And now we can understand why it's written from the beginning, even though it's continual. Again, God has to invest his life force in the worlds continually for them to exist, but it's renewed. So as the old light stops, and then a new light comes back. And that's why it says from the beginning of the year until the end of the year, because that quality of light is over, and a new quality and a higher quality of light is beginning. And that's also, if you noticed, which I didn't until I looked at this, at the pasuk it said Meresh Hashanah. Resh is spelled Resh Aleph Shin, but there's an Aleph missing in the pasuk. Meresh Hashanah. Why is that? Chaser Aleph. That hints, the Alter Rebbe says, Papapesh Kuf Aleph, Al Histalkus Haor. That missing letter hints at the departure of the light, Shemistalik B'Layl Rosh Hashanah, which goes away, goes back to its source on the night of Rosh Hashanah, at Acharat Tchiyas Shofar, as we said earlier, until a new light comes down at the blowing of the shofar. So Yored Or Chodesh Elyon, where a new light comes down, a supernal, a light which is Elyon Yoser, which is more a higher light, which never ever had yet radiated into throughout all the days of the world. This is Or Elyon Kazer, such a great light. And that great light of Chokhmah comes down, gets enclosed in and concealed in the Eretz Chaim, which is Malchus of the higher worlds. So that's, again, akin to the Koyach HaTzameach, the hidden power of growth in the earth down here on planet Earth. So this light comes down, becomes enclosed and concealed in Eretz Chaim Shelamayla, in the supernal Malchus up above, Ushalamata, and below. The Hachias is Kol Oilamus, to enliven all the worlds, to renew the life force in all the worlds. Kol Meshach Shonazu, for the extent of all this year. Agiloy Me'ahester Hazeh, and here's the punchline. The revelation of this light, like the revelation of that seed rotting in the ground, is you have to plant it. You have to do something. So the revelation of this light, this gilui mistatir hazer, this hidden light, depends on our deeds, the and our merits, the teshuvosam and our teshuva, in the 10 days of Shuvah from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur, and he says that all of what we just said should be clearly and simply, he said it's easy to understand, right? That's what he said. It's easy to understand, or it's easy for one who does understand. Again, harking, he always ends, right? Our deeds. Hashem is going to give a new light. From the previous letter, we have that infinite capability within us. So give it. And with our arousal down here below, to arouse ourselves in Chodesh, Chodashim, in new ways, that provokes Hashem to do what he is wanting to do, which is to give a new light into the world every year and every day and every moment. And that's today in Shabbos. So it's interesting to me, I'm seeing this as I'm learning this with you, the continuity here of letters, which I hadn't really seen before, really on the theme of tzedakah and going out of your limits, just as Hashem goes out of your limits, and bringing renewal each and every day, each and every second. All right. Any comments? Questions?
I guess I could say that my comment is that he says here what I started realizing, I guess, because of all the Hasidus I'm learning, is that every day is a mini year.
Yep. Yep. Every day is a mini year. Every day is a totally new opportunity. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's amazing. And like we have concentric circles. You have the days, then you have the months, and then like every month also is a mini year.
Sure, absolutely. Total renewal of the moon. Every month. Yep.
I had a question yesterday, actually, from the Tanya, and I couldn't ask because it was so loud in here. I thought the Alter Rebbe said that it's revealed. It says begilui. First, he said you have one of them is revealed and one of them is concealed. Like let's say Chesed is revealed and Gvura is concealed. Right. But then he said even the concealed is so revealed. Is that what he said?
I don't know because I have to see where you're. Can you point out on the page where?
And then that threw me off.
Can you point out on the page where the language is?
I'll go to yesterday's. Yeah.
But I can't. While you're looking, anyone else while you're searching? Anyone else have anything to offer here or question? Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know this is just so simple on my part, but I always wonder, like, so Australia blows the shofar,
Yeah.
however many hours before, and is it depending on our? I understand that time is just for us. Hashem is outside of time, but
Oh yeah, Hashem is outside of time, but the lights are not outside of time. The lights, remember, the lights, these lights that we're talking about, right? There are other lights, lights of Soviet, but we're talking about lights of Malikal Almin. They relate entirely to and are a function of the creation of time and space. So when it's not a contradiction, because since it's all Or Mamale, let's say at a certain point it hits Eretz Yisrael and it's spreading, right? It has spreading down here in the realm of creation takes time, and particularly in the realm of physical creation. So this is happening when it happens it hits Eretz Yisrael, and then takes time, So when it becomes day, when it becomes night in Australia, that's when this is happening, and the departure. And when it becomes day in Australia, that's when this is happening in Australia. Yeah. I'm just saying that just logically, because the whole infusion is in the domain of time and place. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I never heard this idea that our brain expands from night to night. That's
No, you didn't say that.
oh you I don't
Maybe
know
I
that,
said something. No, a
that
brain, not our brain, not the cerebral cortex or the tissue expands, but the capacity of our, well, if that's what you meant, yes,
no
the
I capacity. I meant the capacity.
the capacity, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a new infusion each and every day.
I never
And
heard that. I didn't know that.
neither
It's
did
interesting.
I until I learned this. Yeah, right. Because the moichin are chachma, being a das, and we're speaking about chachma, and what's happening, he said, every year Rosh Hashanah, and really every day in the Tfilas HaShachar is a new infusion of light in the brain. So it's a big deal. I mean, that's what I'm really seeing myself here. How each and every day becomes totally, not only totally new in the sense that there's a renewal, but there's a higher level. Our our um, our possibilities and our abilities are increased every day through this new infusion. Yeah, it's quite a. For instance, if one were to stand and daven chakras with that kavana, I think one, maybe I'll try it. Would go away a little bit differently from the tefillah. Halavai, we should pray at all with sincerity and not just running through the tefillahs. I think women, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think women, since they're not mechuyev in time as much as men are, maybe have an opportunity, maybe not, to take more time to daven. I know I'm always rushing daven because I have to get somewhere. I have to get to work. So maybe that working women, of course, maybe it's the same, but I don't know. It would seem to me if I had more time and not the pressure, I would like to take more time in davening because the words are full of secrets, and words, and those secret meaning not hidden things revealed in Kabbalah and Hasidus that expand the person. Elisheva, you found it yet? I don't know that.
Yes, I did find it.
Where is it?
It says
where is it?
it's right at the beginning. וזהו שאמר דוד המלך עליו השלום, מה רב טובך? כלומר, שמידת
Wait,
הטוב והחסד
what page are you on? You're way back in Rav Chesed? What page?
No, I'm just at yesterday's, just the beginning of yesterday's.
Beginning of yesterday's. That was the 13th? That was the 14th.
The 14th.
This is what David HaMelech said. How great is your goodness? Claimer means the midah of goodness and chesed, which is concealed here by the person like Beis Shammai. Keep going, right? Even though it's hidden, concealed, nevertheless, Hurav the Gadol is very great. Okay. They're both from the category of a revelation of Hashem without any limit.
Giloi.
Giloi. Bli gvul umida v'shir. Meaning Hashem reveals this, but it can be hidden to the person. Hashem is giving it out. He's giving it out. This is from Hashem's perspective. It's from the category of Gili Bli Gvul, of big rebel. Now, Gili Bli Gvul here on this page refers to the Ora Soivev. That's the revelation, Bli Gvul. And Ora Soivev has the characteristic of being concealed until someone taps into it. And that's what his here. Even though it's hidden from you because it's Soivev to you, it's Makif to you, it is a revelation, and it's a revelation of something which is by its definition, its nature, Bli Gvul. And if you'll tap into it, then you can behave with Bli Gvul. That's how that goes.
So it's Begilo Bli Gvul, not Begilo to you necessarily, but it is Begilo Bli Gvul Soivev in the Soivev world.
Because Shtehim, both of them, Chesed and Gevura, if you're a Gevura, Dika guy, a person, and not a Chesed, or the vice versa, you have to know that both Chesed and Gevura are there within you in a Bli Gvul manner, in an infinite manner, and you can touch that, you can tap that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so let's do it. Bli Gvul, Ad Bli Yadai. And we'll have a good Shabbos, and Mir Hashem, we'll see you Sunday. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Everyone.
Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, Avi.
Good Shabbos.